The popular title given to the ancient city of Rome to imply a sense of sophistication, a city of marble, begins to lose its shine once you realize how dirty cities were at that time. While Rome may not have been the most sanitary of classical urban environments, if any at that time could be called that, there is still plenty to appreciate about it. The existence of an urban environment the size of Rome at all in this time period is something remarkable in itself. It's easy to forget that large cities themselves are extremely difficult to develop, maintain, and protect, which is why their existence in the classical world is remarkable. The existence of these sorts of environments is fully dependent on the infrastructure of the region. This is obvious. The level at which a city can thrive is limited without proper management of food, water, waste, transportation, and other important civic characteristics. How did the Romans deal with these sorts of problems that would have plagued their urban development? How did they get water and food to the city, deal with waste, and provide efficient transportation of people and goods? And, after all of this, how might the wealthy have relaxed at the end of the day? Before we talk about how the Romans solved all of the problems crucial to the development of large cities, we first need to consider what exactly infrastructure is, and the role it plays on the development of urban areas. The Cambridge Dictionary website defines infrastructure as the basic systems and services, such as transportation and power supplies, that a country or organization uses in order to work effectively. Not a horribly difficult concept to understand. Things that make things more efficient. Roads, electricity, plumbing, you know the works. Another important note is that cities do not build infrastructure. Infrastructure builds cities. It is the inherent backbone of the urban environment itself. You simply cannot have large, congested cities without an efficient system for managing waste, people, and transportation. To begin our look at the infrastructure made by the Romans, let's first focus on transportation. Roman roads mostly connected cities rather than towns, much like large highways do today. They needed to cut through a whole manner of natural obstacles, such as forests, rivers, and marshes. Abrupt changes in topography were problems too. Other structures, such as bridges and tunnels, were built to surpass valleys and mountains respectively. Roads today share several things in common with Roman roads, for much of the same reasons. They were around 13 feet wide, so that two carts could pass each other without problems, with a slight difference in height in the middle to deviate water from the road, and even had a pedestrian path along both sides. Roads were clearly marked and regularly maintained, making them highly efficient for the travel of both the military and citizens alike, bringing trade in and out of city centers. Next is water. One of the most basic facts everyone knows is that you need water to have life, human life at least. Water became a much greater problem for Rome as it grew in population, and naturally had more people whose thirst needed to be quenched. The most effective way to bring water into the city is obviously to bring it from somewhere else. However, it's kind of heavy, so you can't really bring it in on horseback on a large scale. Aqueducts were the solution for Rome's water problem. In use for centuries at the time, aqueducts work like a long inclined water slide, bringing water from a higher point, like a mountain, into a lowland city like Rome. When the water arrived at the city, it was stored in large tanks to allow any sediments, and any other natural goodies it picked up along the way, to settle to the bottom. Then it was removed through pipes, made of all sorts of materials, from clay to even lead, into other sources, like the homes of the wealthy, fountains, and public bathhouses. If you want to prevent a city from being overwhelmed with all forms of waste, you need an effective way to get all of that waste out of the packed city. Much like the systems for getting water to the city itself, the sanitation system of the city developed as it grew in size and population. The cloaca maxima, literally greatest sewer, was the jewel in Rome's waste removal crown. Originally built to drain runoff out of the city and into the Tiber River, it eventually served as the sewer system for the whole city. It was the final destination for the fluids of the city's public baths and latrines. It's sometimes strange to think that not only did Rome have running fountains, and plenty of them, but it also had public heated bathhouses. It wasn't some musty, piss-warm human BO receptacle either. They had several different types of pools, with different temperatures and applications for each one. Some pools were simply warm and comfortable. Others were deliberately cold, and some were as close to a sauna as you could get in the classical Mediterranean world. The heat was achieved through fires kept by slaves underneath the bathhouses. Oh, and it wasn't just the water. The walls of the rooms themselves were heated to achieve a higher temperature in the room itself. They used pipes and tubes built into the walls to bring the temperature of the room up, with hot air and water, which flowed through them. I mean, at the same time the Romans used urine to clean their clothes, they had heated walls to achieve a more comfortable interior temperature in bathhouses. There's something to think about next time you can't fall asleep. To sum up, there really is no baseline for what is and isn't infrastructure. It's simply a system for making things more efficient. While an abridged definition like that sounds mundane, it tends to hold true, and it's absolutely crucial to the development of anything you want to remotely call an urban environment. If people don't have water, some form of sanitation, and access to people and food, then they likely won't stay. The only reason a metropolis can exist is because it has sufficient solutions to all three of these problems. Rome's roads, aqueducts, and sanitation system helped the city itself to grow from a puny city-state to the capital of the classical world, and the head of one of the most impactful and influential empires the world has ever seen.